everyone. It's Tuesday. It's time for another Cinderella Diaries. Thanks for joining me tonight. For those of you checking this out and it's not live, thanks for checking the replay. We are jumping right back in because this entire season is dedicated to helping you become a wealthy woman on purpose. So, how about we jump right in? We've covered a lot of ground so far, and I'm excited to share with you, especially today, because today we're talking about how you can track your wealth results, how you can track the stats. Like, what should you be looking at? What should you be tracking as a measure of your wealth? And I've broken it out into like three rough categories. Let me just put in here a shameless plug for you. If you haven't yet seen it, be sure to check out our Catalyst Wealth Hub. This is the place where all of our resources come together, and you really get to join our community of wealth building women, join our conversations, join our live sessions, join all the great stuff that we're doing, because in community with other women committed to building their wealth, there's so much that can happen. And we get even more in depth on which results you should be tracking. In fact, on a monthly basis within the Wealth Hub, we are tracking our results live, one on one. You're doing your thing. I'm guiding you and answering your questions. We are tracking, we're celebrating, we're setting ourselves up for success. I'm excited. Okay. So today we're talking within the scope of results. And last week we spoke about, getting the results that you want, experiencing the results of wealth and digging into that. Today, I want to talk about the wealth stats that you should be tracking. Now, let me say this. You guys, if you've heard anything from me before, you know that as far as I'm concerned, wealth is more than just numbers. And especially for us as women, we can appreciate that in addition to the numbers, there are other metrics that we're looking at. There are other things that are of value to us that we need to also experience alongside the numbers and the zeros that come before the dot. That's fantastic. And I want you to be able to identify what you should be tracking and some tools that you can use to do that. So here's where we are. I'm going to glance at my notes because I don't want you to miss a thing tonight. So I want us to understand that one, whatever you're tracking, whatever method you're going to use to track your results, it needs to be a method or within a platform that is easy for you to use. I love spreadsheets. I actually enjoy creating very complex formulae sometimes. But even I have a max when it comes to using spreadsheets. After a while, I'm just like, you know what? I don't need another color coded cell in column this and row that. However, for me, a spreadsheet is a great platform to use. For you, it may not be. And so you may have to rely on a different method of recording and tracking. Good old pen and paper has never failed anyone. I'm a big proponent of keeping it simple, not because you're stupid, but because you have better things to do with your time than to overly complicate something that should actually bring you joy. And that's the other thing I think that's the other thing I want to ensure you understand. Tracking your wealth stats should not be a depressing activity. It should be, especially knowing what you know from the previous episodes of this season, tracking your wealth stats should actually be a very expansive experience. It should be a very, it should give you lots of indicators and lots of fuel to get to that next thing. That doesn't mean that the results that you're tracking are always going to be moving in the direction you want them to. That's unrealistic. I mean, everything there in life, there are always setbacks, there are always curveballs. However, tracking those results should be an exercise in expansiveness, not an exercise in contractions. So you also may have heard that I'm not the biggest proponent of budgets. In fact, I don't even like saying the word, because you say the word budgets and a lot of people go like, "Yep, I'm out," because of so many preconceived notions that are out there. Because I understand the role that language plays in how we make decisions and the experiences we have, it is imperative that you are very specific about the language that you're going to use as you track your stats. We'll talk about that in some future episodes. But for now, let's talk about what you should be tracking. What indicators are you looking for? What kind of movements are you wanting? And listen, everyone, I'm going to say this again. This may look different for everyone. Your journey is unique because it's yours. So while there may be similarities in what other people are experiencing, the roots that are springing up those fruits might be different. Don't worry. We're going to track those imperative wealth stats, and you're going to be able to look, listen, and adjust. And that's a key component right there. So let's get to the harder things. First things first, the one everybody knows, you gotta track your numbers. Listen, ladies, and I'm gonna say this. Do not be afraid of looking at your numbers. For better or for worse, till death do us part. Make friends with your numbers. Have an intimate relationship with your numbers and track those buggers, because they are telling you something. We'll talk about that more within the Wealth Hub. You should join us, by the way. But listen to what the numbers are telling you. Track your numbers. Some of us want things to happen today. In fact, yesterday, right? A lot of us, we want to see the numbers do what the numbers have to do immediately. Set some realistic expectations. What I like to say, be realistic as well as idealistic. It's okay to have some goals that stretch you a little bit. You know, they make you like, ugh, to go after it. That's okay. But also understand that where you are, you didn't get there overnight, and where you want to go, you need to give yourself some grace. So set goals for your numbers that are both realistic and idealistic, and track those. So what are some of the numbers that you will be tracking? It all depends, and I'm saying this with the knowledge that at different stages of your wealth journey, there are going to be different outcomes that you're going to be trying to hit. Different things are going to come up for you at different times. So, wherever you are on that journey, you might be tracking different numbers. Someone who's already independently wealthy and they have everything they need, they might be tracking your ROI on investments, because you have investments that should be generating income that's creating the lifestyle you want. You want to make sure you're getting a return on investment for all of these instruments. That may be what you're tracking. For others, the numbers you're tracking might be your debt load. You want to see those numbers go steadily down. And when I say steadily down, once upon a time, all we had was a loan. And you'd pay the loan off every time you put money against it, the balance goes down. Well, these days we have rather complex lending instruments. And right now, even if you're putting money against some of those revolving debts like credit cards and lines of credit, somehow the balance keeps going up, up, up. Trust me, I know. But here's the thing. You want to keep the overall trend of your debts going downwards. You may also want to be tracking savings. You may want to be tracking the level of your savings to ensure that your savings balances are going up. Here's another thing that a lot of us as women, we don't really track. I want you, in tracking your numbers, to pay very close attention to your income. I need you to track your income. Not only are women being paid a lot less than our male counterparts of with equivalent training and equivalent opportunities, positions, but we are also very hesitant to ask for the raise or to ask for the increase or to increase our prices as entrepreneurs. Please keep a solid handle on your income and revenue streams. Track those numbers because your income is what you're going to be using to create the life that you want and build the wealth that you're wanting for the next generation. Track your income. If your income levels have stalled, it means we need to go after other sources of revenue or go up there in that performance review with your boss and say, hey, hello, it's been a while, and here's what I've been able to accomplish for this business. Here's the value that I brought to the table. Here's the income I've been able to generate for the company. I think I should have a raise. And don't be afraid. I know this is scary sometimes, but don't be afraid to take a chance on either your employability or on your business to create revenue by stepping away from opportunities that don't align and moving out into other opportunities that align not just with your values, but with your sense of worth. So I'm going to leave that there for now. Track your income, track your debt, track your credit score, track your investments, track all the numbers. Remember what I said, for better or worse, till death do we part. Have an intimate relationship with your numbers. Here's a second wealth stat. I always do this. I'm doing second, but holding up three fingers. Oi. Here's a second wealth stat that I'd like you to track. I need you to track your emotions about money. And I don't know how else to ask you to track it than to say track it. Because our actions, what we do with money, comes out of our feelings first. I believe I've shared with you before that all our decisions are first emotional. And then after we've made an emotional decision, then we go and look to logic to justify that decision. It's the exact same thing with money. Every decision that you're making with your money starts with how you're feeling, what you're feeling, what's going on with you on an emotional level. Every decision. So don't be tracking numbers and wondering why the numbers aren't doing what you want them to do when you don't yet have a handle on your emotions. That doesn't mean that you don't track your numbers until you get your emotions on track. No, because we're still living, we still got to be doing. But by tracking your emotional responses to money, finances, wealth, we are able to identify triggers. We're able to identify what got me started on doing this or that, or how did I end up here doing this? What happened before? How did you feel before you took that action or you made that decision? Or how do you feel after you've taken that action or taken that decision? I like to kind of relate it to me and Cheetos. There's me and my Cheetos fetish. I love Cheetos. It's dwindling. I'm a work in progress. However, having said that, I know the trigger that sets me off to go after this unhealthy food. It's hitting something, it's doing something for me, but I also know how I feel after I've had it. So here's a trick for you. I'm giving you this one for free. When I have the initial trigger, because I've taught myself to figure this out, that initial trigger, instead of going to the unhealthy habit, I actually skip the unhealthy habit and I go to that feeling I have that I hate at the end. It's the exact same thing with your money. By identifying the triggers, the action, and the results, we can better control and eliminate the undesirable action that's happening in between. So, track your emotions when they come with money. You'll identify triggers, you'll also identify patterns. And believe it or not, a lot of us I've worked with many clients at this point where their aversion to debt is so strong that it's actually sabotaging their efforts to get out of debt. I'll tell you more inside the Wealth Hub. There's only so much I can share here, but we are so averse, some of us, not all of us, but we are so averse to debt that we put so much of our financial resources towards eliminating the debt that we end up compromising other things. If we can track the emotion, that feeling is, I really want to get out of debt. But we need to temper that emotion so we take the right actions instead of creating that revolving door that never ends. Pay off debt, get in more debt, pay off debt, get in more debt. The root of that is in an emotional need to be satisfied that needs to be satisfied. So track your emotions, identify triggers, look for patterns, and I would recommend doing this in a journal format. Now, not everyone is keen to use pen and paper for their journaling. I love to speak into my phone and record my journals in a private document, something that any old person won't see. So you can keep a journal on your phone, but track those money emotions because it's important, and you will glean a host of information from it. Once you look back a few weeks and see, oh, this happened or that happened, or this seems to keep happening, big indicators come out of you tracking your emotions. So I want to do that. And third thing that I want to leave you with, tracking your wealth stats. So far we've talked about tracking your numbers. And I have to add, in tracking your numbers, you can decide to use a spreadsheet, pen and paper, but there are also some apps out there that could help you. I know there are quite a few. I don't want to name any because I don't want to be a proponent or make it seem like I am recommending one or the other. But go out there looking for apps that help you track your money. I know some of the banks have apps. But one of the things I'll say about the apps that pull information from your bank account is that for the most part, these apps they're not proactive. They don't allow you to plan. They tell you what's already been done. And I guess you could plan off of what's already been done, but try to track your numbers in a way that allows you to be proactive. So don't just look at what you spent, or don't just look at where the money went. Also use that information to go forward and plan for the next month or the next paycheck or whatever that's going to be for you. Okay, so the third indicator that I want you to be tracking would be track how you're making decisions. Now, if you haven't already, run on over to my website, moneynavigator.ca, and my most recent blog post, as of the date of this recording, I think it's called The 3 Outcomes of Wealth or something like that, at every age and every stage. Read through this because it'll help you understand what I'm talking about here when I say track how you make your decisions. As you go through the different journeys, different stages of wealth building, you will find that there are going to be things that become more important to you at each stage. So you need to now ask yourself, where am I in my wealth journey? And what are the things that are important to me in my decision making with my money? What is most important? And I'll quickly run through. You need to track how you're making decisions. You will either make decisions based on the choices that you have, based on your need for freedom, or based on your need for impact. What does that look like? You're going to be making decisions based on what you need versus what you want. That's a very preliminary part of the journey, the wealth journey. At the very beginning, when you're becoming that wealthy woman on purpose, initially your decisions are going to be, this is what I need versus what I want, and that's going to be your deciding factor. The other thing is you're going to be making decisions between the price of a thing and the value of a thing. And that, by that I mean, sometimes you would be willing to pay more for something because it has more value to you. And because it's not about a needs versus want conversation, you can go after it because it has value to you, as opposed to that price I just can't afford, right? Very, very different. And the nuances start showing up here. And then third, you're going to start making decisions based on a thing you want to experience or a thing that you want to impact. So at that more experience, that more mature journey, that more mature stage of your journey, you're going to be looking at, is this something I want to experience for myself, for me? Is this something I want to impact someone else, or a cause, or something that is dear to you? You're going to be making decisions now based on whether it's something you want or something you want to create, perhaps change, perhaps make an impact in an area. It could be political, it could be social enterprise, it could be our planet, it could be our animals, whatever that cause happens to be. You may be looking at that as opposed to something that you want for yourself. Because at that stage, you probably already have everything you want. Anything you want, you can get it. At that level, along the wealth journey, you're looking for impact. So you need to track, what was the deciding factor in me choosing this versus that? Essentially, that's what it comes to. Because once you can see yourself making decisions based on value versus cost, you know that you are maturing and progressing along your wealth journey. Once you start making decisions based on what you innately want, once you can honor the truth of the experience you want to create for yourself, as opposed to, I'm going to buy this because that's all I can afford, that's a breakthrough right there. And that is something that you can look at. That's something you can plan for. That's something you can decide to experience for yourself. So, tracking your wealth stats should be threefold. Whatever you use, it must be something you can maintain. It's something that you can connect with. If spreadsheets are not your jam, get a good old fashioned dedicated pen and paper. I'll actually show you my little journal here. This is my money journal. And I do all of, when it comes to money, it comes in here. I love the tree motif. It speaks to me. And I actually, I send this to my clients. So, because I like it, it speaks to me. But this is my journal, my feelings, my emotions, anything cerebral gets recorded in here so I can look back. I can look back and see how I've progressed, see what lessons are there to be learned, celebrate my successes, and grow and learn and just evolve and expand in my wealth journey. So, again, the three areas, the three stats that you should be tracking in your wealth: track your numbers, use a platform that you actually relate to and you can stick with, track your emotions unemotionally and honestly. When you're tracking your emotions, try to make it almost like an out of body experience where you're just seeing this, like you're witnessing it. It helps to take the emotion out of it for you. So have that out of body experience, write it down, and then re examine it. Be honest with yourself. And third, track how you're making decisions, whether you're making choices based on need to versus want to, price versus value, or experience or impact. Look at how you're making your decisions. They are all wonderfully indicative of the progress that you're making along your wealth journey. Understand that you may not always make progress along all of these stats all at the same time, all at the same pace. But the fact that you're tracking it means that you will be able to review it, look and see what's working, see what tools and supports you're needing, and go out there and get it, because you and I are on our journey to becoming wealthy women on purpose. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. As usual, I'm excited. You know, I get excited on these. But definitely stay tuned for next Tuesday, when we're going to talk about understanding the real results behind inconsistent results, understanding the real reason behind inconsistent results. So stay tuned for that for next Tuesday. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.